Hey you guys, I've got a game going now against branflakes123. He's rated 279 in rapid. This is a 15-minute game. Okay, and I'm going to try and we're going to try out a little interesting trick here. Okay, I'm going to put first and foremost, in fact no, third, okay, in our list of priorities is frustrating my opponent's plans. We haven't done that, and it's something that a lot of beginner players just don't even consider. They don't even consider, why did my opponent make that move? So, why did my opponent make this move? He's attacking my pawn, right? Let's defend the pawn with development if possible. Okay, so out comes the knight. Okay, another knight, right? What is my opponent doing here? He's trying to control the center. Okay, so how can we prevent him controlling the center? Well, we could attack his knight, or at least put pressure on his knight. It means if this pawn moves, it means that pawn is pinned, right? And another thing that you can do, if you're on a kind of longer format game, hit X on your keyboard and look at the board from your opponent's point of view. It's like walking around the table in a tournament. Okay, so out comes his bishop. What's he trying to do? Well, he's putting pressure on the f7 pawn. His knight can't come to there because my knight will take it, but his knight could come to there. So I'm going to frustrate my opponent's plans here by pushing h6 to take this square away from his knight, as well as that square. Okay. So the idea here is that with lower rated players, if you look, he's just pinned his own knight. Okay. If you frustrate their plans enough, you could find yourself. It's just a case of waiting and letting them screw up. Okay. So what's my opponent doing here? Well, maybe he wants to release this bishop, but where's it going to go? It can't go there, can't go there. Any of these squares is going to get captured. So does he want to come to this one? Does he? I don't know. But I'm going to push ahead with my plans, and I'm going to continue development. So queen can't come out to there or there. That's not a good square for queen. I think knight out just makes a lot of sense now. Also, it means that if the bishop, I don't know, yeah, he's not going to go there. Okay, so what's my opponent doing? He's getting his king to safety. He's also removed the pin on the knight. Jolly good. He's playing very, very well so far for somebody rated under 300. Okay, I'm always looking at this. Okay, that would be defended once, twice, but attacked 1, 2, 3. If I take out the knight, there's no real point to do that. I might just well castle my king, but I think I might want to castle the other way. Yeah, let's finish development, get the bishop out, maybe trade bishops here, and the plan is to castle queenside. There aren't pawns advanced on the wings, on the sides of the board, on either side. So I don't really have to be concerned about which way I castle right now, but I think, just in general, it's always good fun. If you can trade bishops here, open up the f-file a bit. Okay, what's he doing? He's attacking my bishop. Alright, so I've got two options. I can come here. I mean, this is also a possibility, and I might get kicked again, come back to there. Then I could stick it in there. That means he's going to be shuffling pawns up this side of the board, which makes castling queenside less appealing. But also, if I take the knight and b takes, he's got rook b1, which also makes castling queenside a bit less appealing. So what do we do? I'm going to trade. I'm thinking, got quite a few pawns myself on dark squares. Yeah. I quite like my knights. Okay, I'm going to carry on development with this move, pinning the other knight. I'm expecting h3. I can still castle either way. I'm keeping my options open now. Another nice motif sometimes, if that pawn pushes forwards and you come back and it kicks again, is to sack the knight. Pawn takes, bishop takes. So you get two pawns for your knight, but they're these two pawns, G and H. So the king's protection is gone. But you've got to time that kind of attack very carefully. You've really got to think, can I actually finish the job off? Because there's no point just going down in material. Notice this pawn is undefended. Note to self. I'm off to referee an under-16s rugby match shortly, at the end of this. But first I have to make sure I win, because if I lose 16 rating points. I didn't have a great day yesterday. Slipped down from about 1510 to 1476, but I'm not really worrying too much about rating points right now. I think if you focus on getting better at chess, then the rating points will take care of themselves. Okay, so now let's have a look. Flip the old boardio. Okay, so my opponent's just played this. Why is he playing that? Well, he's attacking that pawn, which is defended by this knight. He's also completing development. So, first of all, do I have to concern myself with my opponent's plans? Nah, not really. If he plans to try and remove this knight or dislodge it, I can always just push that pawn, so not too worried about that. Okay, so what are my plans? I'm going to castle kingside. It's the way to go. I don't like having this semi-open b file. I don't really want to put my king on c8 and invite attacks. His position is actually pretty good so far. I'm slightly concerned about this weakened pawn. Could be a target. My opponent's playing a real mix of times. 15 seconds, 9, 4, 26, 1 minute, 11. This is all good. Now the knight is pinned, plus it's defended by pawn and queen. If the queen should ever move away from the defence of the knight, I would consider capturing the knight and opening up the g-pawn. Okay, so we need a general plan now. Okay, I'm not concerned with this. If this pawn comes in here, do I have enough military apparel there to sacrifice my knight, give up my knight for these two pawns, and get the job done? I don't think I do. I think this knight is still there. If this knight, was misplaced, it would be more appealing. But with the knight there, guarding some key squares. Now this is the big question for white. Does he push g4? Now if he does, I don't really want to put my bishop on this diagonal, right? Because look at that diagonal. Pawn, 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 right? That bishop is going to be redundant now for the rest of the game. So maybe, if he pushes this, might even sack the other bishop and make a knight's game out of this. Go in with my knights. So if all these pieces were off the board and my knight was here, that's quite good, but it's still... And then maybe like queen to here, dive in with a knight there, check. That's checkmate if I can get that. Whoa! Hot diggity! Hot diggity! We have a bishop sacrifice, friends. We have a bishop sacrifice. Okay, now, what is my opponent trying to do? He's trying to do exactly what I just said I wanted to do. Right, I'm having the bishop anyway. Come on, let's make a fight out of this. I'm not messing around. Okay, so his plan. Does he want to get his knight in there? Well, you're going to struggle, my friend. You are going to struggle. If he goes there. Right, okay, so... Remember what I said about if the queen should ever give up defense of the knight? I have this. I think we're okay. Okay, so, first things first, what is my opponent trying to do? Well, actually, he wants to come in and capture that pawn, doesn't he? If he does capture it, let's say I take the knight, and he comes in and captures the pawn. I can, take there. Ooh, it's getting spicy though, isn't it? Actually, or should I just defend the pawn? The knight can't come in, so I'm okay. I think defend the pawn is the first thing. First, frustrate my opponent's ideas before pushing ahead with mine, unless mine will prove to be fatal, and I don't think they are so far. But moving this king does more than one thing. I'm defending the pawn. I'm also opening up the g8 square for my rook. Okay, and if my rook goes there, boom. So I could have a pinned pawn and then capture the knight, or I could have captured the knight and then give check. Lots of ideas. I think my queen definitely wants to be coming up to this square at some point soon, ready to dive in. Okay. Right. It's not a bad move. Now the knight there is undefended. So if my knight should move, I might be able to capture his. This pawn is defended by the bishop. This dude is playing a really good game for somebody rated almost 0. So I'm thinking about things like take that pawn. If he recaptures, I get the knight. And I think my king looks pretty safe there. This bishop now is, with my king having moved here, this bishop now is looking a bit redundant. This rook isn't in the game. I don't think he's got enough stuff. Or knight here. If I put my knight there, pawn takes, bishop takes. I can't. Right, I'm going to do this. Attack the queen. Okay, queen can't go there, there. So I think we're going to see pawn takes knight, in which case queen takes, and then my queen's attacking that pawn there. And my rook's ready to come in, and my queen is got closer to the king, and maybe even the other rook might come into the defense. See, my opponent here has sacrificed the bishop, and for a pawn. I mean, I'm now sacrificing right back, yeah. But he's sacrificed his bishop, I think, without a winning attacking plan. And one thing I'm really realizing about chess a lot at the moment is the importance of tempo. When I've been watching Grandmaster games and stuff like that, and videos, it's all about the initiative and the tempo. It becomes so much more important as you go on. And somebody commented on one of my videos today saying, I'm losing a lot of blitz games on time, but that's okay. And it made me realise that, yeah, and what he said was that he has a few opponents who kind of, or sometimes weaker players can just blitz out moves really quickly that are poor moves in order to put the pressure on the opponent on the clock. But there are two types of time in chess, right? You've got the time on the clock, if you're playing a timed game, which most of the time we are. And the other one is tempo. Now, tempo means the rate at which you can develop or progress your plans. Okay, so in the opening, you're developing your pieces, controlling the board, getting your king safe, right? You want to do that as quickly as you can, so that you can get into the middle game, right? And then in the middle game, you're improving your pieces, you're building an attack, right? Ideally, and that's a funny old move. Ideally, you are preparing. If you can get a winning attack in the middle game, so be it, or winning tactics in the middle game, so be it. If you can get a tactical advantage, material, space, whatever, great, yeah. But to play for the clock only, and if it causes you to play poor moves, nah, it's not good. So this move, I'm not buying this move. Yeah, the bishop's lined up with the king, but I'm in no mood to move this. I'm not going to allow this pawn. It's the last thing I want to do, right? So what's my threat right now? Okay, so I've moved my rook here, which means that pawn is pinned. Okay, this pawn is the only defender of this pawn. So now my queen can actually capture that pawn. That pawn can't recapture because it's pinned. And what I've started doing recently is putting pinned pieces in ice. So I'll do them in blue. So I hit the, I don't know what it is, option key on my keyboard. Okay, now he wants to come in and try and dislodge my pawns, but this is the wrong idea. Absolutely the wrong idea, right? He's failed to notice what's going on over here. Okay, so now I've got queen takes that, pawn can't recapture, and I'm threatening checkmate on the next turn. I think the only way you can prevent it is pushing the pawn with a discovered defense by the queen. But if he does that, I've got bishop takes pawn. If rook takes, queen takes, and the pawn's still pinned, yeah? So interesting stuff. I think he's played an exceptionally good game. Somebody rated 279. Seriously. And I will have to send him a link to this video. Say, okay, let's just checkmate, yeah? Okay, there we go, won by checkmate. Good game, mate, well played. And I managed to win 0 points. So let's do a quick review, particularly from the point of view of frustrating your opponent, okay? So this move attacks the pawn, this move defends it. Straightforward. Knight out, attack the knight. Now somebody said, sometimes I'm a bit too quick to throw out my bishops and hit knights, but I think it was justified there. Bishop out, h6, prophylactic move, okay? Did become a target later on, and we will notice the bishop did take the bait and snatch the pawn. But I didn't want this knight coming in, right? Because I couldn't castle yet. Yeah. Okay, so back to the game. So pawn forwards, effectively pinning his own knight and removing one defender from his knight as well. My knight comes out. I push a pawn, right? I'm just reinforcing, also getting ready to allow my bishop out. Hits the bishop, and I decide to trade here. Now my bishop comes out pinning his knight, okay? That's frustrating my opponent. It means that he can't move his knight, or his queen will fall. He has a poke at a pawn. I say, no, you don't. He has a poke at another pawn. Well, he develops his bishop, but this pawn is protected. Also notice this pawn is undefended, so maybe even putting the bishop here where it defends the pawn may have been a better idea. Because also, look, this bishop can't go there, there, or there, or there, right? This whole diagonal is actually out of bounds because of my dark square pawn chain. So I'd have thought that actually d2 would have been a better square, but anyway. So now I castle, getting my king safe. Right, my opponent wants to attack my king. I don't want my opponent to attack my king. There, bishop retreats, and now boom. Premature attaculation. Bishop falls. The queen has a poke. Okay, I think this was probably the right move, king h7. Defend the pawn. Get the king out the line of fire of that bishop. Make the bishop look bad. Yeah. Now the knight moves out of trouble, so he did well to spot that if I'd captured, he'd had to have retaken with the g-pawn. And now I've earned my way to tactics, okay? Putting his knight there is an undefended square, right? You need a really good reason to put a piece on an undefended square, a good reason, right? This was not such a good reason. So now I can attack, I can capture a free pawn with an attack on the queen. He recaptures and boom, right? Bishop there, no, just not convinced. It'd take far too long. So this pawn can't move unless this pawn disappears, right? That's the nature of pawns, okay? And how's he going to get rid of that pawn? How many turns is it, and this is coming back to tempo again, how many turns is it going to take him to dislodge this pawn? This was just not the right move at this point. Better ideas could have been simply like, throw the f-pawn up, yeah? Come straight after this pawn. Try and capture or something, or just throw the f-pawn up and then double up the rooks, something like that, right? Have to take advantage of the imbalance, the fact that black's king is actually quite exposed, a lot of fresh air around that king, yeah? This king appears to be safer, but this is not the way to attack that king. Just isn't. Don't don't know what I would have done in this situation. Let's have a read at this board then. So it's white to play. First thing that springs to mind is here, actually. Try and trade off these bishops. Get the queen over to here. And get some activity going. Another ideas could have been somehow trying to get this down to here. I don't know. No, but I think right now, but the other problem is we're down in materials, so I don't really want to go like that. Okay, so bishop there, too slow. And now my rook comes across, and he failed to think, what is my opponent up to? What can he do? Well, with that pawn move, terrible move. I mean, it kind of gives the queen options, but she can't go there or there. She can only go to there, you know. And there he missed checkmate threat as well. So, you know, first two rules of chess club, guys, is my king safe? Okay, so but anyway, exceptional game from a sub 300. Exceptional. So congratulations to my opponent for that performance on the whole. I hope you get to see this video, my friend, Mr. Branflakes, and I hope it helps you, and I hope it's helped you as well. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.